World War II, a time of heroes, of sacrifice, of victory, a time when ordinary men and women were called upon to do extraordinary things. We see the parades, the flags, the joyous reunions, the streets filled with cheering crowds, the air thick with confetti and hope. But behind the triumph lies a brutal reality, a story etched in the hearts and minds of millions, a story often overshadowed by the glory of victory. This is the story of the common soldier, the one who walked through the valley of the shadow of death, carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, each step a testament to his courage and resilience. Imagine a young man barely out of his teens, ripped from the comfort of his home, his dreams put on hold, his future uncertain. He trades his dreams for a rifle, his youth for the uncertainty of war. Every day a battle, not just for survival, but for sanity. Thrust into a chaotic world of deafening explosions and relentless gunfire, he faces not just the enemy, but the primal fear that gnaws at his sanity. The constant threat of death, a shadow that never leaves his side. This is not a tale of glory, but of survival, a daily struggle against the elements, the enemy, and the ever-present fear. It's about the mud and the blood, the hunger and the fatigue, the relentless march through hellish landscapes, the constant battle against exhaustion. It's about the camaraderie, the unwavering brotherhood forged in the crucible of combat, the bonds that form in the face of unimaginable adversity. This is the story of the brutal day-to-day life of a World War II soldier. A life marked by hardship, but also by an unbreakable spirit and a relentless will to endure. The front lines were a sensory overload of horror. The air, thick with the stench of cordite and decaying flesh, was punctuated by the incessant rattle of machine guns and the earth-shuddering blasts of artillery. Each day was a fight for survival, a desperate struggle against a relentless enemy. Sleep was a luxury, snatched in short bursts amidst the trenches' damp and cramped confines. Rats scurried over sleeping bodies, their presence a constant reminder of the unsanitary conditions. Rain transformed the trenches into muddy quagmires, swallowing boots and sanity in equal measure. Exhaustion was a constant companion. Soldiers marched for miles, their bodies burdened by heavy equipment and dwindling rations. They fought hand to hand, their faces contorted in primal rage and terror. Every moment was a gamble, every step potentially their last. Food, when available, was a poor substitute for home-cooked meals. Canned rations, monotonous and often tasteless, became a lifeline. A cigarette, shared amongst comrades, offered a brief respite, a fleeting connection to a life left behind. Letters from loved ones were cherished treasures, each word a precious link to a world that felt a million miles away. They spoke of normalcy, of love and hope, providing a beacon of light amidst the encroaching darkness. Soldiers clung to these letters, rereading them until the paper was worn thin, finding solace in the familiar script. The thought of home, of families waiting patiently for their return, fueled their determination. It was a powerful motivator, a reminder of what they were fighting for, of the future they yearned to return to. Beyond the physical hardships, the war inflicted deep psychological wounds. The constant threat of death, the loss of comrades, the horrors witnessed left indelible scars on the minds of these young men. The relentless pressure, the knowledge that their next breath could be their last, took a heavy toll. Many soldiers developed what we now know as post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. Haunted by nightmares, plagued by flashbacks, they struggled to reconcile the horrors they had witnessed with the normalcy of civilian life. The war followed them home, an uninvited guest that refused to leave. Their silence spoke volumes. How do you explain the unexplainable? How do you articulate the unspeakable? Many suffered in silence, their internal battles hidden from those who had never experienced the horrors of war. Battlefield medicine, a fight for survival. Injuries were commonplace and medical care was often rudimentary. Medics worked tirelessly in makeshift hospitals, battling against overwhelming odds and limited supplies. Amputations were frequent, a grim testament to the brutal efficiency of modern warfare. The lucky ones were evacuated, sent back from the front lines to recover from their wounds. They carried the physical and emotional scars of war, a constant reminder of the sacrifices they had made. Their recovery was often long and arduous, marked by pain, infection, and the daunting task of rebuilding shattered lives. For many, survival was a victory in itself. They returned home forever changed, forever marked by their experiences. They bore witness to the fragility of life, the capricious nature of fate. Letters from the front, echoes of worry at home, Back home, families endured their own battles. They lived with the constant fear of the dreaded telegram, the one that would shatter their world. Every knock on the door, every ring of the telephone brought a fresh wave of anxiety. They rationed food, scrimped and saved, and sent care packages filled with love and longing to their boys overseas. Their letters, filled with news from home, were a lifeline for the soldiers, reminding them of what they were fighting for. Their unwavering support, their belief in the righteousness of the cause, provided strength and solace to the men fighting far away. They were the silent heroes of the war, enduring hardship and uncertainty with quiet dignity and unwavering resolve. A new kind of battle. When the war finally ended, the world rejoiced, celebrating the hard-won peace and the return of their heroes. But for the returning soldiers, the journey was far from over. The battlefields may have been left behind, but new challenges awaited them at home. They came home to a world that had moved on, to families who struggled to understand what they had endured. The emotional distance was palpable, creating a barrier that was hard to bridge. The transition to civilian life was difficult. The routines and norms of everyday life felt foreign and unwelcoming. Haunted by memories, grappling with invisible wounds, they struggled to find their place in a world that seemed both familiar and alien. The psychological scars were deep and persistent. Many faced unemployment, prejudice, and the lingering effects of their physical and emotional wounds. The support systems were often inadequate, leaving them to fend for themselves. They had faced death and emerged victorious, but the war had exacted a heavy toll. The visible and invisible injuries were a constant reminder of their sacrifices. Their bravery, their resilience shaped a generation. They forged bonds that would last a lifetime, built on shared experiences and mutual support. Their stories serve as a reminder of the human cost of conflict, the enduring legacy of war. The lessons learned from their experiences continue to resonate, reminding us of the true price of peace. Remembering the sacrifice, honoring the legacy. Today, as we enjoy the freedoms they fought so valiantly to protect, it is our duty to remember. We must honor their sacrifice by striving for peace, by understanding the true cost of conflict. Their stories, filled with hardship and resilience, must be passed down through generations. These were not superhuman warriors, but ordinary individuals who rose to meet extraordinary challenges. They were farmers, teachers, factory workers, sons, brothers, husbands, and fathers. They were the greatest generation, and their sacrifices must never be forgotten. Let us learn from their experiences, from their courage and their compassion. Let us strive to create a world where such sacrifices are no longer necessary, a world where peace reigns and dialogue replaces division. Lest we forget echoes of war, lessons for peace. The echoes of World War II still resonate today, a stark reminder of the human capacity for both good and evil. The devastation and heroism witnessed during those years continue to shape our collective consciousness. As we navigate the complexities of the modern world, let us remember the lessons learned from that tumultuous period. The importance of unity, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of peace cannot be overstated. We must be vigilant in the face of tyranny, unwavering in our defense of freedom and democracy. The sacrifices made by those who stood against oppression serve as a powerful reminder of our duty to uphold these values. We must work tirelessly to build bridges of understanding, to foster empathy and compassion between nations. Diplomatic efforts and humanitarian initiatives are crucial in preventing the horrors of war from repeating. The world is interconnected, our destinies intertwined. In this global village, the actions of one nation can have far-reaching consequences for others. Let us honor the memory of those who served, who fought and died, by striving for a more peaceful and just world. Their bravery and sacrifice should inspire us to work towards a future free from the shadows of conflict. Let their sacrifices be a constant reminder of the fragility of peace and the importance of preserving it for generations to come. The cost of war is immeasurable, and the price of peace is eternal vigilance. For in the words of the ancient Roman philosopher Cicero, the memory of the good which men do lives after them. The memory of the bad and wicked is often interred with their bones. These words echo through the ages, reminding us of the enduring impact of our actions. Let us ensure that the memory of their sacrifice lives on, a beacon of hope for a brighter future. By remembering their courage, we can build a world where peace and justice prevail.